Hi there guys, this is Reindeer Gaming here doing a deck profile with Stavros Park about the commander that he put together, Codie. So what came up with the idea of putting this deck together, Steve?
Well, to be honest, I'm an old-time WWE Raw Deal player, and in that game they have all the wrestling superstars, and they'll have different abilities, and you have to build around their abilities. In essence, you could call it almost a restriction, but it's a way to be a little more creative with the game. What Wizards of the Coast has done is pretty much the exact same thing. They've built a legendary creature with a restriction. What this allows you to do is this allows you to be super creative with the deck. Okay, his ability is you cannot cast permanents. Okay, so that gives you over half the cards in Magic the Gathering to work with.
Yes.
And none of them are creatures or enchantments or anything like that. You can't do artifacts, none of that crap.
Yeah.
So you got to find ways to get around it. So instead of casting stuff, you want to put stuff onto the battlefield. And there's good ways and bad ways to do that.
Yep.
Now this guy has been covered from head to toe in like how to build them, when to build them, what cards to put into them. One of the most obvious cards that I saw for Codie, the Vociferous Codex, was actually Rise from the Tides.
So, now why did you choose that card?
Well, the reason why I chose this card is because for 6 mana, it says create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard.
Yeah.
If your whole deck is made up of instants and sorceries, chances are you're going to be filling up your graveyard super fast. And the fact that they come in as 2/2s and they're tapped is no different than coming out and playing a bunch of other cards that give you a bunch of 2/2 zombies as well.
Yeah.
This only enhances it. What's really nice is his ability says you can pay for, get one of each color, cast a card. When you cast that card, exile cards from top of your library until you reveal a instant sorcery with CMC less than what you already cast.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't want to say possibility storm, but it's more like a Sunbird Invocation. It's more like a, there's a few other cards that lend itself to the chaos theory, okay?
Yeah.
So I went from there and I wanted to look at, okay, this is not going to be a strong deck. I cannot take my opponent out the traditional way. What can I do? And I started looking at older cards that deal damage to my opponent. Specifically, I went with Treacherous Terrain.
Okay, and then why did you choose that card for the deck?
Well, the reason why is because everyone's going to be playing lands. And if you can find a way, this punishes players who rely on lands, which we all do. It also punishes players who rely on landfall. This is a card that you can cycle it as well, so it's got really great versatility in your deck.
Yeah.
Right? For 8 mana, it's a little expensive, but you're guaranteed to do at least 8 damage to your opponent on any given time.
Okay.
Okay, the next one I chose was an older card from the original set Legends. It's called Stormseeker.
Now, what's the story behind that one?
The story behind Stormseeker is it was the very first green card at instant speed to deal direct damage to your opponent. Kind of like a pioneer of green, okay?
Okay.
And the reason why I chose this is because there's a lot more cards now that can make your opponent draw tons of cards and have no maximum hand size.
Okay.
So this card is perfect and fits in his deck so well because it doesn't say player, it just says each opponent, which is good, okay? The next one I chose, I wanted to go big or go home. So my next 2 choices are going to be a little on the big side. I went with Planet-Wide Celebration.
And now for the choices to adding that card to your deck, why did you choose that one?
The reason good choice is because I get to make creature tokens, or proliferate or gain life, or return permanents from my graveyard to my hand.
Yeah.
If I ditch a land because I didn't need it right away, but need a late game, that's good for me. If Codie's not in play, I can bring another permanent back if I happen to have one in my library, or my graveyard, or whatever the case is. But being able to proliferate, I can turn lands into creatures. So I can start putting counters on those creatures. So that's what I want to do.
Okay.
The next big card I chose is, there's a whole cycle of these. It's called Ultimatums.
Yeah.
There's 10, there's 1 for each shard. Okay?
Yeah.
This one is by far the most effective one out of the whole bunch because this one allows you to grab 3 monocolored cards out of your deck. Your opponent chooses 1, puts it back into your library, and then you get to cast the other 2 for free.
Yeah.
Huge for 7 mana.
That's definitely huge.
Okay. And at 7 mana, really, if you do it through Codie's ability, you get to cast anything for 6 or less. So you get 2 for 1. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the next 2 cards I chose actually came to me through a sort of like an epiphany moment. But at the same time, I didn't realize how powerful they were until I watched another video saying, hey, how these cards in?
Yeah.
It's some of the cards from Modern Horizons 2 that are zero casting cost technically. Profane Tutor and Inevitable Betrayal.
Okay. Now, why did you choose those 2 cards?
Profane Tutor allows me to go search for any card I want and put it into my hand shuffle with no drawback.
That's great.
For 0 mana, that's great. The other one, Inevitable Betrayal, allows me to search my opponent's library for any creature and put it into play under my control.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
Imagine if I could copy this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
At 0, that's great. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the very last card I chose was something that you'll never, ever going to see, and that is Eye of the Storm. And yes, it's a permanent, it's an enchantment.
I love that card.
But this card is nuts, because if you're the one casting all the instants and sorceries,
Yeah.
you're going to copy every single other instant and sorcery you've played on every single other turn. What's more important is if you come out with a couple of fog effects, nobody can beat anybody through creatures.
Yeah.
And a lot of EDH decks rely on creatures to beat other people with.
That's true.
So being able to have at least a fog in your deck or 2 fogs and some sort of graveyard recursion, you're never ever going to lose the game through combat damage.
That is so
guys,
true.
This is about what I chose for my deck. These are the top 8 or 9 cards I chose for my deck. There will be other cards to go in my deck for sure, but at the moment, this is how it stands.
Yeah.
If there's something better out there that's not too expensive, give me a shout. Give him a shout. If there's another card that's like low key that you think should definitely be going in this deck, put that in the comments below, because definitely we want to feel about instants or sorceries, or even if it's just a really damn good enchantment. Okay?
Yes, definitely.
Now the other card they suggest also is Living End, but that relies on a lot more creature based. I don't know if I'm going to go that way. So talk to you guys later. Thanks for the watching of the video. Take care.
All right. Thank you guys, and this is Reindeer Gaming, and we are out.